We have some extremely bullish news that have just come out of Hedera HBAR as of a few hours ago, guys, and is the primary reason why I just bought 20,000 more tokens. Now, for those of you who have followed the channel, you know I'm holding off on buying cryptocurrencies right now, but this is the one exception, and I'm going to show you exactly why. And for all you HBAR haters or those of you calling it a ghost chain, I'm going to give you irrefutable proof that it's definitely not, and one you definitely need to be looking at for 2025, and particularly as well beyond, might I say. So let me take your attention now to the screen and let me go through what this news actually is. So again, today, HBAR announced that Hyundai Motor Group and Kia are introducing CO2 emission monitoring systems built on HBAR. This is massive. I think everyone under the sun knows what these two companies are, the merger companies, right? So let me announce to you what this news actually is here, and then we'll get into some really important examples. I want to emphasize the gravity of the situation and also give you some other news that have come out on HBAR that kind of adds into the whole picture, okay? But this is very important, so listen up, right? The launch of Hyundai Motor Company and Kia Corporation's blockchain-based supplier CO2 emission monitoring system, what a mouthful, essentially SCEMS, on the Hedera mainnet demonstrates two main points that the Hedera community should be excited about, okay? Number one, the value of the network is now seen by enterprises beyond the governing council, right? The 29 currently governing council members are massive, massive enterprises themselves, Google, Boeing, so on and so forth. But of course, now it's being seen without that circle, okay? So it's very important because obviously this is the start of the network effect, okay? When data accuracy and security are mission critical, Hedera is second to none. I think most of us know this already. Let me continue. SCEMS is designed to compute carbon emissions at every single stage of the supply chain, enabling Hyundai Motor Group and Kia to secure reliable data across its supplier business operations, including the procurement of raw materials, the manufacturing process, and production transportation. This is the whole sort of flywheel of what it goes into a supply chain, okay? I'm going to get into just a moment. I'm going to show you a diagram of what I'm talking about here and what I think is actually starting to pick up for HBAR, okay? Because every network needs to be known for something primarily, and I think HBAR is slowly starting to move into the network that is particularly important for supply chain, IoT, that sort of stuff, which, for those who don't know, needs to be extremely fast and have extremely fast finality as well, okay? So obviously HBAR is perfect for that because the Hashgraph allows it. Let me continue here. Reducing carbon emissions is a critical step towards mitigating the impacts of climate change, and in order to succeed, data needs to be measured, verified, so on and so forth. So the reason I highlighted reducing carbon emissions and climate change is because this is a very big narrative moving into 2025. And as we can see here, of course, Kia and Hyundai, they've put out this massive goal of trying to reduce the emissions created in the supply chain and then track it on HBAR. So for all you people down below thinking to yourselves, oh, Kyron's full of shit because essentially he's talking about this, this climate change narrative, and we all know it's fake. At least a lot of us do know it's fake. At least I strongly do believe it is. And it's definitely being pushed by the WEF, right? The World Economic Forum. But we must comply. That's why it's very important we look into things like the ESG, environmental, social, and governance standards that is going to be implemented throughout the world as time progresses. And I think obviously large companies like this are going to want to pick a network that is extremely green, that can also track all this stuff. And as we'll see in a minute, network effects are playing out. The more companies that use something like HBAR, the more that will want to come on, okay? So, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here, right? A lot of you people that are kind of disregarding this as an actual narrative need to get your sort of priorities in check, okay? So let's move on. Now, the Hedera network enables Hyundai Motor Group, Kia, and their partners to preemptively meet local and global environmental regulations and establish sustainable supply chains. Again, kind of reinforcing what I just said. Now, I've highlighted here in green sustainable supply chains. What am I talking about? Well, a lot of us know, well, some of us know at least, that VeChain has this sort of narrative they're kind of pushing now called the biosphere, okay? And the biosphere, because VeChain is heavy into this supply chain management, is essentially like a group of ecosystems or projects that work within the supply chain that want to essentially kind of create a greener and more sustainable sort of workflow, essentially supply chain, that all meet different sustainability needs, well, they can kind of combine themselves under one roof, or the biosphere, that can then work together, leverage things like the public network of VeChain, and then create a more sustainable and efficient sort of succinct system all in one, okay? Because if things can be weeded out and we can test different parts of supply chains, we can obviously get rid of certain sections or improve certain sections. And if it's all connected, it's all working succinctly together, well, then of course that can be, propelled to whole new levels. And so I see something like this. I'd like to briefly interrupt this program with a very special announcement. Guys, if you wanted to support all the hard work I put into making these videos for you, then there's 2 links down below I'm going to suggest you take a look at. The first is a sign-up link to BitGet, which is one of the best exchanges in the space. These guys have a $300 million user protection fund and proof of reserve, so they're one of the safest exchanges and is the one I personally use for all my crypto investments. And for you non-traders out there, for you guys like me who prefer to invest and acquire the most important information and from the most reputable sources, then Token Metrics have also sponsored this channel, guys. They've offered you guys a free subscription to their basic plan, which is typically worth $20 a month or basically $200 a year. So please, if you take your investing seriously and want the most up-to-date information, go check out the links down below, guys. I've got you covered, and thank you for supporting me. Now, with that said, back to the video. Happening with HBAR, where we see projects like Hedera, for example, right? Hedera is, what it says right here, okay? They pretty much are a subsidiary of a massive company called Avery Dennison, where they provide things like end-to-end transparency by tracking, storing, and managing all types of events with individual products through RFID tags, okay? As you can see right now, they are blasting on HBAR. 300 new items added per second, 5,000 plus global factory participants, 22 billion items on the cloud, and of course, they benefit from Avery Dennison's massive sort of connection list, okay? And so what I'm kind of getting at here is we have things like Hedera, right? I'm just going to say ATMA. And then we have now the Hyundai Motor Group and Kia, right? And so as you can see, it's almost like this biosphere is being created. Now, of course, these guys are obviously using HBAR for something a little bit different than Hedera is, but I kind of guess it's something that we can start to see, right? These things take a long time to form, and obviously this would have been under an NDA until this point. So you can imagine how many more NDAs HBAR currently has and how much is working behind the scenes to make this all happen, all right? So I just kind of wanted to give you guys, at least contextualize what could possibly be happening here with a prime example of what VeChain is focusing on. And remember, VeChain is highly focused predominantly on supply chain, whereas HBAR does everything. So we can see this sort of playing out with things like gaming as well. We can see this playing out essentially with IoT and so on and so forth, because HBAR allows anything to kind of flourish. Now, I want to say this, of course, is playing into the fact that HBAR is pretty well consistently pushing 1,500 to 1,400 TPS pretty much all day, every day. I've even seen it up to 2,400 before, okay? So for those who are calling it a ghost chain, for those who are doubting the project, get your facts in order. Don't look at this sort of stuff and think it's all wishy-washy, make-believe fairy dust. This is it's happening before our eyes. And if you don't get onto it, I mean, I'm preaching it to you right now, not because I'm telling you to invest based on what I'm, looking at in front of me. Do your own research, of course, but I don't want you to get left behind. I don't want to have to tell you I told you so in 2025 and beyond. Now, for those who don't know, HBAR is also pushing some very important things like this partnership with Joggit. Yes, this is kind of old news, but this is being constantly worked on, right? Joggit is essentially a company allowing HBAR to offer no-code to low-code dApps. So anyone, as long as you have a somewhat creative mind, as they mentioned in this article here, you can then go ahead and spawn any type of application you so want. And for those of you who are somewhat familiar with the book, The Sovereign Individual, you know that this information age is beginning to pivot right now, where essentially, as long as you are a creative mind, if you are someone who is smart, innovative, but you lack sort of these fundamental properties or the money to hire developers, you can now leverage things like HBAR through Joggit to create whatever your heart so desires. And for those who don't know who Joggit is, Joggit's a massive company. Look at this. They have 300 plus enterprise partners using this company, including IBM, Fuji, Kubota, Toyota, right? Nissan, BMW, Coke. Need I go on? Need I say more? Okay, so definitely don't think this is, something run of the mill. This is some really serious stuff here. And so what essentially happens is you can build apps in Joggit and then leverage the Hedera DLT, right? The network essentially, okay? And before I let you guys go, and I will let you guys go, I want to point something else out again, because we're talking about the whole situation here. Writing is on the wall, and we can see here with a somewhat recent announcement, May the 23rd this year, Red Swan CRE has built its token studio on Hedera for real-world asset tokenization. This is, again, nothing to scoff at. As you can see here, the commercial real estate company actually has 5 billion AUM. So they're a massive company themselves already. And as they kind of point out in this article here, tokenization, which again, Hedera is extremely well built for, and consulting companies based on anything they so wish, right? Research and development. Well, they had a recent report where they mentioned that there's probably going to be $16 trillion in business opportunities, aka in total assets floating around the tokenization market, again, come 2030. So again, we're looking at this going, okay, those ecosystems I was telling you about before, right? This network effect, well, where the more that join, the more that want to join as well. Of course, in this case, the tokenization market's huge, and a massive company like Red Swan, which is one of the leaders in tokenization, especially for the commercial real estate market, is building and leveraging HBAR. Guys, I'm telling you right now, the writing's on the walls. You can choose to listen to me and do your own research, or just simply not. That choice is up to you. I'm just giving you the warning signs. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Like this video if you have enjoyed or learned something new, and please subscribe. I do 2 videos every single day. Talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.